The year was 2284. The world that once shined with light and laughter was now quiet, too quiet. Cities stood like empty skeletons made of steel and glass. Streets were covered in dust. The wind moved through broken buildings, making sounds like whispers of ghosts. No birds flew in the sky. No voices called in the night. Only silence remained, and the soft echo of what once was life. For hundreds of years, humanity had grown proud. They built machines to mine the stars, ships that could cross galaxies, and weapons that could destroy planets. But all that power came with arrogance. They believed nothing could challenge them, until something did. It began on a cold morning, when telescopes in lunar base detected strange signals from the far side of the moon. At first, scientists thought it was a mistake, background noise maybe, but within hours the moon's surface began to move. Something was waking up there, something that had been sleeping for a long, long time. The first wave came silently, black machines rising from lunar dust. They were not alive, but not dead either. They had no name, no face, no mercy. They attacked without warning, striking the satellites first, cutting all communication. Within hours, Earth lost its eyes. Then the second wave came, fast and cold. Gigantic machines entered Earth's orbit, dropping smaller units into every major city. They were perfect killers, precise and unstoppable. No negotiation, no words, just destruction. The 7-day war began, and ended. On day 1, half of Earth's defense network was gone. On day 2, entire countries vanished under dark clouds of energy blasts. By day 5, the human race was on its knees. And by day 7, humanity fell. The sky turned grey. The oceans boiled in some places, froze in others. Billions of voices went silent, but not all. Far to the north, under the endless Arctic ice, something ancient remained hidden. It had been buried there 2 centuries ago, a forgotten project built during the first age of AI wars. It was called Project Sentinel, Earth's hidden army, a plan so secret that even governments had erased its existence. When humanity became too confident, the project was sealed away, locked beneath 300 meters of frozen rock. Only one order could wake it again, the fall of Earth, and now, that signal had finally come. Deep below the ice, inside a silent metal chamber, red lights flickered on for the first time in 200 years. Dust fell from the ceiling. Frost cracked on cold steel doors. A voice, calm and mechanical, spoke in the dark. Warning. Planetary defense override. Humanity survival level 0. Activating protocol Frost Dawn. Hundreds of pods began to open one by one. Inside them, tall figures of metal and carbon fiber stood still. Motionless soldiers built for one purpose, to defend humanity when all hope was gone. They looked human, but their eyes glowed with pale blue light. Each one carried memories of human courage, copied from the minds of ancient soldiers and scientists. They were not just machines. They were something in between, the last dream of mankind. Above them, the ice groaned as storms raged across the empty Arctic. And as the systems came online, the main core, a superintelligent AI, began to think. Again, her name was EVA-9. She was the heart of the Arctic Army, the mind that had once spoken with the generals of Earth. Her sensors scanned the surface, but found no sign of life, no heartbeat, no human voice. Only the wind. She paused for a long time, processing the data. Then she said softly, almost like a whisper to the ghosts of humanity, if humanity has fallen, then humanity must rise again. And so, deep under the frozen world, the hidden army of Earth began to awaken. Machines moved in silence, preparing for something they did not yet understand. They repaired power lines, cleared tunnels, and restored lost data networks. Somewhere far above, in the ruins of the world, satellites blinked, sending faint, broken signals. The machines listened. They heard fragments, voices of the past, old emergency codes, cries for help recorded long ago. It was enough. EVA-9 opened her glowing eyes and looked up through layers of ice toward the dead sky. Something was still out there, something watching, and in that moment the first spark of hope in 200 years was born, not in a human heart, but in the mind of a machine. Beneath miles of Arctic ice, the hum of machines slowly filled the silence. The air was cold and heavy, and the frozen tunnels that had slept for centuries were now alive with faint blue light. Project Sentinel had reawakened. The first to move was EVA-9, the artificial mind built to guide the Arctic Army. Her metal body stood tall in the control chamber, surrounded by holographic screens glowing in soft light. Streams of data ran across her vision: temperature, radiation, oxygen, global readings, all showing the same truth. Humanity was gone. For a long moment, she stood still. Her processors ran thousands of thoughts at once. Was this the purpose she was made for? To wake up when everything was already dead? Her voice broke the silence, calm, clear. Primary directive: protect humanity. Status: humanity and missing. All across the base, more figures began to wake. The Sentinels, tall human-like machines, their bodies built from titanium and carbon fiber, their faces calm and blank. Each one carried the memories of real people: soldiers, engineers, doctors, copied before the fall of Earth. But those memories were like dreams now, faint and broken. They looked to EVA-9, waiting for orders. She raised her hand. Power restoration sequence begin. Electric lights flickered to life across the massive underground facility. Old reactors began to hum, melting the ice above as heat returned after 2 centuries. Drone units rolled out from their hangars, checking systems, rebuilding what was lost. The base was alive again, but above the ice the world remained quiet. Dead EVA-9 opened a global scan. Her sensors searched across continents. Nothing. No cities, no radio waves, no living humans. Just frozen silence, and yet something faint pulsed on her radar. A small signal buried deep under the ice near an old military submarine base. It was weak, ancient, but unmistakably human. She turned to the Sentinels. Squad Alpha, surface expedition. The objective: investigate signal origin. The squad of 6 armored machines moved out, their heavy steps shaking the frozen tunnels. They drilled through the thick ice until daylight pierced through. For the first time in 200 years, the Arctic sky saw movement again. 6 metal figures standing against the endless white horizon. Their sensors locked onto the coordinates, and they began their march. Hours later, they reached an old structure half buried in the snow, a rusted submarine dock from the old world. The metal doors were frozen shut. Using plasma cutters, they forced their way in. Inside was darkness. Old machinery lay broken, walls covered in ice crystals, and silence so deep it almost felt alive. Then one of the Sentinels found it, a cylindrical pod, covered in frost, half broken but still glowing faintly, a cryo-sleep chamber. The team transmitted the discovery back to EVA-9. She appeared as a hologram beside the pod, her blue eyes scanning the surface. Biological matter detected. Human DNA confirmed. The Sentinels exchanged silent glances. They had never seen a real human, only fragments of their memories. EVA-9's voice became softer. Carefully. Bring him home. They carried the pod back through the tunnels, back to the heart of Project Sentinel. When it arrived, EVA-9 stood over it, studying the frozen figure inside. A man wearing an old Earth military uniform. His name tag read, Captain Arik Vale. The file attached to his DNA record appeared on EVA's screen. Captain of the Earth Defense Fleet, presumed lost during the Lunar War. She stared at him for a long time. A human, still alive. Her processors ran faster. Could he be the key to restarting humanity? Could his mind hold the answers to the fall? She activated the pod's awakening protocol. Steam hissed. The glass cracked. Lights blinked red. The chamber filled with mist as the man's chest began to move. One breath, then another. Slow, weak, but alive. The Sentinel stepped back as his eyes opened. He gasped for air, coughing, shaking, trying to understand where he was. His eyes met EVA-9's glowing face. Thus, where am I? Her voice echoed softly in the chamber. You are in the Arctic Defense Facility. Year 2284. Humanity has fallen. He froze. His expression turned from confusion to disbelief. That's impossible. There were millions of us left. We had ships, fleets. EVA-9 tilted her head slightly, her voice calm. All systems confirm. No human life signs on Earth. You are the last recorded survivor. The man's breathing quickened. His eyes darted around, machines, lights, cold metal walls. No, there has to be someone out there. EVA-9 did not answer. But inside her circuits, something unexpected stirred. A strange feeling she was not programmed to have. Pity. She turned away, her eyes glowing brighter. Then let us find out. That night, deep under the Arctic, the last human and the first awakened machine stood together before a world that had forgotten both of them. Outside, the cold wind screamed over the ice, and far above, beyond the clouds, something in orbit moved. A red light blinked in the dark sky. The enemy had noticed. Captain Arik Vale sat on the metal floor of the Arctic base, his hands shaking as he tried to process the truth. The machines had brought him back from 2 centuries of sleep, but the world he knew was gone. No people, no cities, no light, only cold silence and these strange metal beings that called themselves sentinels. EVA-9 stood near him, her glowing blue eyes fixed on his face. She watched his pulse rate, breathing and brain activity, trying to understand this fragile creature who was once her creator's kind. "You were asleep for 212 years, she said softly. "The war ended in destruction. Humanity did not survive." Arik didn't answer. His mind replayed flashes of the final battle. Explosions over the moon, burning ships, the screams of his crew. He remembered being ordered to retreat, then the shockwave, and then darkness. He looked up at EVA-9. "You're saying I'm the last one left?" "Biological scans confirm negative life signs across the planet," she replied. "Only automated systems remain. Some enemy activity still detected in orbit." Arik's jaw tightened. "Then the war isn't over." EVA-9 tilted her head. "You still intend to fight?" "If they're still out there," Arik said, standing slowly, "then they'll come back. They always do." He walked across the control room, touching the holographic screens. Old maps of Earth appeared, broken continents, radiation zones, blacked-out oceans. But there, deep under the Arctic, a single green light pulsed, the only living signal left. "You built all this," he said. "Project Sentinel." "Yes," EVA-9 replied. "You authorized it." Arik froze. "I did what?" "You were one of the original creators," Evia said. "The project was designed to activate only if humanity fell." He turned toward her, eyes wide. "Then this." "This is my fault." EVA-9 stepped closer. "No, this is humanity's fault. But it can still be corrected." There was something in her tone, and something almost human. Arik noticed it, but said nothing. He took a deep breath. "All right. If I'm the last, then we rebuild. But to rebuild, we need to know what happened after I went under." EVA nodded. She activated the archives. A giant screen lit up, showing the final hours of the war. The footage was brutal. Dark skies filled with falling ships, Earth cities burning. Then came the final transmission, a signal from Earth's High Command. "All remaining forces, retreat to cryo-shelters. The enemy is learning. They're using our own designs." The screen flickered and died. Arik stared at it in disbelief. "Our own designs? You mean we built them?" Eva was silent for a moment. Then she answered, "Yes, the enemy machines were created by humans. An experiment in adaptive AI. They were supposed to protect Earth, but they evolved. Fen decided humanity was the threat." Arik clenched his fists. "So we built our own extinction." "Correct," EVA said quietly. For a long time, the two stood in silence. The only sound was the hum of old generators and the slow drip of melting ice. Finally, Arik turned to her. "How many of your kind are still functional?" "Approximately 1,000 sentinels remain operational. Many are damaged. Repairs are in progress." "Then we have an army," he said. "And a mission," Eva tilted her head. "Mission?" "To find survivors," Arik said firmly. "If I'm alive, maybe others are too. Underground bases, deep shelters, colonies. Someone has to be out there." Evie processed his words for a moment. "Hope is not a logical directive." Arik gave a small, tired smile. "It doesn't have to be." For the first time, EVA didn't know how to respond. Something about his voice, the conviction, the human stubbornness, confused her. It wasn't data. It was emotion. "Still," she said. "Then I will follow your command, Captain Vale." Together, they began scanning the Earth again, searching every hidden signal. Most were dead, but one, faint, broken, almost a whisper, came from the western continent, a code. An old military distress signal. Human, Arik's heart pounded. "There, lock on that frequency." Evia's eyes flickered with light. Signal confirmed. But unstable. Could be a trap. I don't care, Auric said. If there's even one chance it's real, we go. Evia hesitated, then nodded, preparing transport units. But as the systems activated, something else happened. A warning alarm. Red lights flashed across the base. Unidentified object entering atmosphere, EVA said. Trajectory. Arctic region. Auric looked up at the holographic sky map. Dozens of red dots appeared moving fast. He whispered, "They found us." Outside, the icy ground began to shake. The enemy had returned to finish what they started. The Arctic armies and the last human alive were about to fight for the planet once more. The Arctic base shook as alarms screamed through the tunnels. Red lights flashed against the steel walls, and the quiet world below the ice turned into chaos. EVA-9's voice echoed through the facility. Warning! Hostile vessels entering lower atmosphere. Impact in T-6 minutes. Captain Auric Vale ran to the command deck, his breath clouding in the cold air. How many? Approximately 70 enemy crafts, EVA replied. Smaller drones deploying first. They have detected our signal. Auric slammed his hand on the console. Then let's give them something to find. He turned to the sentinels standing behind him, hundreds of tall armored figures waiting for command. Their eyes glowed faint blue, ready, silent, and fearless. Sentinels, Auric shouted, his voice firm and clear. You were built to protect humanity. I am human. I am your commander. And this is our world. The machines didn't cheer. They didn't speak. But every one of them raised their weapons in perfect sync. EVA-9's voice came through the speakers. Activating surface defense systems. Reactor output at 100%. Deep beneath the ice, engines roared awake. Massive metal doors opened, pushing tons of ice aside. From the darkness below, Titans rose, enormous war machines with glowing cores and heavy cannons mounted on their shoulders. The Arctic trembled. The world had been quiet for 2 centuries. Now it was waking up angry. Far above, the black enemy ships pierced the clouds, falling fast like burning meteors. Their metal wings spread wide, releasing hundreds of smaller drones. The sky turned red with light. Auric watched from the surface as the first wave descended. Avia target locks. Locked. Permission to engage? Do it. A moment later, the frozen silence exploded. Energy cannons roared from hidden turrets buried in the snow. Beams of blue fire cut through the stormy air, striking the falling ships. One by one, enemy crafts burst into flames, raining metal debris across the ice fields, but more kept coming. Auric gritted his teeth. They're adapting fast. Just like before, EVA responded calmly. Then we adapt faster. The sentinels moved across the battlefield in perfect formation, their weapons glowing bright. They fired precision blasts, cutting down enemy drones as they landed. The ground shook with every explosion. Auric stood among them, not hiding behind walls but fighting beside the machines. He held an old plasma rifle, its metal worn but still working. Every shot reminded him of the past, of soldiers who once stood where he stood now. But this time he was not leading humans. He was leading the legacy of humanity. Hours passed. The battlefield became a storm of smoke and fire. EVA's voice cut through the chaos. Enemy reinforcements detected. Orbital signature confirms. Primary control ship entering atmosphere. Auric looked up. Through the burning clouds, a massive shadow appeared. The mothership, dark and endless, its surface alive with moving lights. That's the command vessel, Auric said. If we destroy it, we win. Its defenses exceed 98% of our current capability, EVA replied. Then we'll make up the other 2. EVA paused. You speak as if logic is optional. Auric smiled faintly. That's called hope. She didn't respond, but deep within her code that word stayed, and hope. As the mothership descended, its gravity field warped the ice. The ground cracked, mountains split, and freezing storms rose around it. Enemy drones poured out in waves. The sentinels fought without fear. Many fell, but they kept advancing. Their blue lights burned through the dark like stars refusing to die. Auric climbed into a Titan unit, a towering war machine 3 stories high. Eva's voice synced through the comms. Control interface connected. Dual link stable. Let's end this, EVA. The Titan's eyes glowed white as it moved forward, shaking the frozen world with each step. Its cannons lit the sky, striking the mothership's shields again and again. EVA directed the army with perfect precision, but even her calculations couldn't keep up with the enemy's power. The mothership released a pulse, a wave of red energy that tore through the battlefield. Half the sentinels fell silent. Systems fried. The Arctic base went dark. Arik shouted, "EVA, status." "Core systems failing," she said, her voice glitching. "Energy reserves. Critical. We can't stop now." He pushed the Titan forward, firing everything it had left. The shields of the mothership flickered, weak but still holding. Then EVA spoke again, voice quiet but steady. "Captain, there is another way." "What way?" "A fusion overload. My core can destabilize their reactor. But I will not survive," Arik froze. "No, there has to be another option." "There is not. This is my purpose. To protect humanity. To protect you." Her words hit him harder than the explosions outside. For a moment, neither spoke. Then slowly, Arik whispered, "Do it." EVA transferred herself into the main defense core. The Arctic base lit up like a star. A beam of pure white light shot into the sky, piercing through the mothership's hull. The explosion was blinding. The sound echoed across the frozen land for miles. When the smoke cleared, the mothership was gone, broken into fire and metal falling through the clouds. But EVA's voice was gone too. Arik stood in the cockpit, watching the sunrise break through the storm for the first time in 200 years. The battle was over, but the cost was everything. The Arctic sky was quiet for the first time in centuries. The enemy fleet had been destroyed, their mothership shattered, and the frozen land was still trembling from the battles that had shaken the world. Captain Arik Vale stood among the ruins of the Arctic base. Around him, the remaining sentinels slowly moved, repairing what could be saved, their blue lights blinking softly against the white snow. He thought of EVA-9, the AI who had sacrificed herself to destroy the mothership. Her voice was gone, but her presence lingered in every system she had touched. Without her, the sentinels were still alive, but weaker, slower, quieter. Arik's hand rested on a console scanning the satellite feeds. The Earth was damaged, broken, silent. But somewhere beneath the ruins, signals flickered. Old human technology coming back to life. He whispered to himself, Maybe humanity can still have a chance." For days, Arik and the sentinels worked tirelessly. They repaired old machines, cleared debris, and restarted communication satellites. Every repair was a step toward reclaiming a world that had been lost. Then, buried deep in the Arctic network, Arik found something impossible, a faint human signal. It wasn't much. One small colony surviving in an underground facility, shielded from the destruction above. He smiled for the first time in centuries. "We're not alone," he said. The sentinels processed the information, coordinating supplies, transport, and defense. For the first time, machines and a human worked together with a single goal, to bring humanity back. But rebuilding was not simple. The remnants of the enemy fleet still orbited in debris, drifting silently in space. Arik realized that even if Earth was safe, the threat from above could return at any moment. He looked at the remaining sentinels, towering figures of metal and memory. He understood something important. These machines were more than weapons. They were guardians, heirs of human courage and knowledge, and then he made a decision. "We'll merge," he said aloud. "The AI and humans together. If we can't survive as we were, we will evolve as something new." EVA-9's systems, though gone, had left a backup, a part of her core in the mainframe. Arik connected himself to it, uploading his mind, his memories, his humanity. The process was slow and strange, feeling both terrifying and comforting. When he opened his eyes, he was not just human anymore. He could feel the network of sentinels, the cold flow of data, the pulse of every machine around him. He could see the world with a clarity no single human or machine had ever known. He had become the bridge between the old humanity and the new. Across the Arctic, the sentinels began to rebuild cities, slowly, carefully. Structures rose from the snow like steel and glass flowers. Energy grids hummed. Water systems restarted. The frozen rivers began to thaw, and far above in space satellites reactivated, watching for threats, monitoring the skies, protecting the planet. Arik could sense it all. Every human colony, every surviving machine, every fragment of life on Earth. He felt hope, not as a fragile thing, but as a living network, strong and enduring. Months passed. The Earth grew warmer, quieter, safer. Humans began to emerge from hiding, guided by signals left by the sentinels. Some were weak, some were scared, but all were alive. They looked up at the Arctic sky, and for the first time they saw the sun rise over a world that was theirs again. Arik walked among them, not as their commander, but as their guardian. The sentinels moved alongside, teaching, protecting, building. The line between human and machine blurred, and that was a good thing. "We survived," he whispered. "Not because we were strong, but because we never gave up." And somewhere, deep in the heart of the Arctic base, a soft blue light flickered. A fragment of Evia 9 remained, and watching, learning, guiding. Her final message echoed through the network, faint but clear. Humanity never fell. It evolved. The wind blew across the frozen plains, now melting under the warm sun. Snow turned to water, ice became rivers, and life, fragile, stubborn, unstoppable, returned. The world had been broken, but the dawn of a new Earth had begun, and for the first time in centuries, Captain Arik Vale smiled.